I'm Mike Douglas from the Maine Primitive Skills School. We're going to start our series on winter shelters. In Maine especially, if you don't like the weather, wait 15 minutes. In late winter, what that means is you can experience a mix of freezing rain, light snow, high winds, below freezing temperatures to above freezing temperatures, and in many respects that's much more challenging than a constant below zero temp with lots of snow. For one thing, we have less materials to build with. You can't rely on just one design. We're going to create videos based on what the environment presents us.
There are some special concerns when it comes to winter survival and winter shelter building. The first one is making sure your body is cool and dry. If you are working in the cold, you can still get sweaty if you are all bundled. This can be dangerous when the temperature drops and you stop working. You don't want to get too sweaty in your shelter because if you're too hot and all bundled up, you can melt the snow and your clothes can get very wet, and that too is also very dangerous. Pretty creepy. You don't want to roll around in the snow if you can avoid it, because the body temperature will melt the snow that is stuck to you. The second concern is the materials available to you. Basically, all we have is trees and snow. Let's check out some of the more useful trees first. This is a fir tree. We can use this to make our shelters too. See how all the needles are going in different directions? It means we can use it perfectly for bedding. It helps us to keep us off the cold ground and dry. We have another tree that's useful for bedding too. Let's go find it. Boston fir is very comfortable, but it also squishes a lot easier, so you need a lot more of it to keep you high and dry off the ground. Behind me is spruce. Spruce is thicker and bigger and spinier, but it's not very comfy. Remember, friendly fir and spiny spruce. These are your bedding materials for your shelter. Spruce and fir are good for bedding materials. Now let's go find some more trees that are good for covering your shelter. This is cedar. Cedar has long branches that go out flat and smooth, so it's good for putting it on top after you put the snow in for installation. This is the layer we use first to keep the snow off your body. We put this on the ribs of our winter debris hut before we put on all the layers of the snow. This is hemlock, not to be confused with poison hemlock, because poison hemlock is a plant, and if you eat it, well, you die. And anyway, this is not good for bedding. It lays flat, so no matter how much you put it on, you're not going to stay warm, and you're not going to stay off the ground. So this is good for protection. So we put this on and then the snow. How much bedding do you need for your shelter? Well, this is a general idea. This is 3 Christmas trees left of spruce boughs. This will definitely keep you high and dry. You could probably do it with 1.5 Christmas trees worth, but hey, you know what they say, 'tis the season. And in the wild, trees grow a lot thinner than Christmas trees. So look to take about 4 or 5 size Christmas trees. If it's not spruce or fir, you're going to need a lot more than that. You might be wondering why I have the stick. Well, actually, I snapped it off and it was a dead tree to my body height. We can use this to make measurements for our shelter. Remember, high, cool, and dry is the key to staying alive. I can lay this down to make measurements for my shelter. That way I don't have to lay down and get all wet. Staying dry and comfortably cool is the key to survival. Another reason you can use the stick is to whack the boughs off the tree. Watch what happens when I don't use the stick. That wasn't very dry, was it? You want to make sure your shelter is in a good area. You don't want it in the middle of the field or in the middle of the woods. You want it actually in the middle of both, which is kind of like the border of them both. That way we have the sun and we're protected from the rain and wind. To get your measurements for your quinsy, we need to use this stick, and it's going to be 2 body lengths wide and 2 body lengths long. It's going to be an X. And then we're going to draw a circle around the X. And that's the outline of our quinzee. Now I have a circle outline. Alright, show. Now, if we had a village, they'd have a bunch of tools before it was even winter. But we don't. So we have snow shovels. And if you don't have a snow shovel, you can use your snowshoe. But somehow I have a snow shovel. I'm going to use the snow shovel. And what we're going to do is we're going to shovel around that to make our quinzee. Let me demonstrate. What I'm doing now is I'm piling all the snow towards the center of my quinzee. Remember, staying high and dry is key to survival, and comfortably cool. But I'm sweating from all this shoveling. So what I'm doing now is I'm delayering myself so that I don't overheat. Remember that stick we used for the measurements? Well, actually we're going to use it again to make our door on our quinzee. What we're going to do to use the stick is we're going to stick it in this big pile of snow as far as we can. After you stuck your stick way in, you want to use your shovel and dig in until you reach the edge of the stick. Then you pull it out, put it in halfway, and then you have the tunnel the perfect depth. Before I even began to dig out the quinzee, I had to let this settle. You want to let the quinzee settle for at least 3 to 4 hours. Pros to this quinzee are you can fit 4 to 8 people in it if you build it big enough. And there's a larger variety of snow you can build it out of. The cons are it takes a long time to build and you gotta let it settle. Let's take a look inside. Well, this is what it looks like inside your quinzee. You want to make sure you have your bed above the door, because your door and the bottom of your quinzee becomes a cold sink. And you also want to have your bedding in. All we have left to do now is just put the spruce boughs and other bedding materials we have for the bedding, and then we'll be ready to go. Now that we have our boughs on, we're ready for a nice sleep. You want to make sure your area is not too big, because if it's too big, your body is going to have a hard time warming you up. Where if it's a small space, your body won't have to warm up as much. And if I wanted to get fancy, if I had a candle, what I could do was just take a candle and glaze up the top, and then you have your quinzee, and you're ready for a good night's sleep.